Off the Wall. My name is Trey. Thank you so much for joining me today. We've got a great show in store for you. Got a little bit of AF1 news, got a little bit of IFL news, but we have a fantastic interview with CJ Windham in store for you. CJ was a wide receiver for the Vegas Nighthawks this past season, part of that dynamic offense in Vegas. In 2025, he signed on with the UFL. He'll be with the Houston Roughnecks. So we get to talk to CJ about his football journey, about his career in the IFL, some of the things he learned on the field, off the field, and just his overall journey through indoor football and what we can expect in 2025 with the UFL. So big thanks to CJ for taking the time. Got to learn a lot about his career and some of the things that a lot of people may not necessarily know about how he got his start with indoor football and some of the things he's accomplished. But before we dive into any of that, it's time to plug the socials. If you don't already, please give us a follow on Instagram, Twitter/X, and TikTok at Off the Wall FB, F as in foot, B as in ball, Off the Wall FB on each of those. Growing the following on each of those and having a really good time with stuff. We're in the off season now, and I know I've said this a couple times over the past few episodes, but have some exciting things in store and been able to partner with some interesting folks and some good people to bring some interesting interviews to you over the next couple of weeks. So and what's the best way you can get notified of those interviews? You may be asking yourself. Well, let me tell you. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. The little subscribe button, if you're watching on YouTube, you should know where it is. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, get notifications on for everything, and get notified whenever we upload something new. And then also, we're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, so you can give us a follow on there, give us a like, rate the show, all that fun stuff. Share it with a friend, share it with somebody that you think would like indoor football and could potentially be the gateway drug to them getting involved with the IFL and then falling in love with it. So every follow counts, every like counts, every subscribe counts. So really appreciate everybody that's supported the journey so far, and we'll see where this goes from here. So we'll start talking about the IFL first. Free agency began earlier this week, and there's honestly not a lot of announcements going on right now, as most teams haven't really formally announced if a head coach is coming back, if they have a new head coach just yet. So I wouldn't expect a ton of announcements on free agents just yet. But the Northern Arizona Wranglers, they did announce their new head coach. Their former coach, Les Moss, went to join the Bay Area staff. They brought in Coach Ron James to be the head coach in Prescott, Arizona. And he's a veteran of the arena football game. And based on some interviews he had earlier this year, it seems like he was itching to get back into it, and they found the right opportunity for him. So super excited for both the Wranglers and Coach James there. He was a longtime head coach in the old AFL in the 2000s and 2010s. He spent some time with the Las Vegas Gladiators, the Utah Blaze, the Pittsburgh Power, the Portland Steel, Tampa Bay Storm, the Atlantic City Blackjacks. But this will be his first stint in the IFL. So going from the arena game to the IFL indoor game, it's going to be a little bit of adjustment, but he's a great coach. He has experience coaching O-lines, and he's been defensive coordinators as well all throughout his career. So it'll be interesting to see how he adjusts, and I would look for them to make a potential splash of an offensive coordinator hire as well to kind of balance out Coach James really owning the defensive side of the ball, and then getting somebody with some expertise and a little flair for running the offensive side of the ball. Because Northern Arizona last season was dynamic on offense, and would look to see them continue that trend into 2025. And then, like I said, free agency, not a ton of news. There's some guys signing here and there, but I would expect it to get pieced out over the next couple of months. But I'm going to provide a bold prediction for you. All right. Bold prediction time. Bust out the magic. I was going to say magic 8-ball, but the crystal ball. Magic 8-ball, I guess, works too. But my bold prediction for this episode is that I think we see Drew Powell back in the IFL in 2025. Where, you may ask? It's a great question. I think he reunites with his former head coach, Dixie Wooten, with Fisher's Freight. It makes a ton of sense to get reunited with a head coach that he was very successful with, MVP championship season in Iowa in 2018. And I think that would be a killer first ever free agent signing by Fisher's Freight. I think that would go crazy in the indoor community. Drew Powell spent some time in the AFL this past year, playing for the Orlando Predators. He had some highs, some lows during the season. Some games he looked really, really good. Some games offense wasn't really putting things together, but his skill set is simply perfect for the IFL. He has been such a dynamic playmaker in the indoor game for the past 5, 6 years, dating back to winning that championship in 2018. And even before that, he's a mobile threat who has really thrived with the way the IFL rules are structured. And I would expect to see him back in the IFL after everything that happened with the AFL this past year. And again, this is just a prediction. I'm not claiming to know anything. This isn't a wink, wink. This is my prediction, knowing that's going to happen. This is just me laying everything out on the table, looking at the landscape and seeing what makes sense. And I think this would make sense for Powell. I think this would make sense for the Freight. I think this would make sense for Coach Wooten. I just think it makes a ton of sense across the board. And that would be like I said, a very big splash signing for Fisher's Freight, and would be something that'd be super interesting to watch to see if they can rekindle some of that magic that Coach Wooten and Drew Powell had in 2018. So shifting over to the AF1, again, it's been a pretty quiet week in the AF1 as well. They fired off 3 new expansion teams last week that we touched on. I think one of the teams was released as I was recording or editing an episode. So the 3 markets that they released last week were Wilkes-Barre in Pennsylvania, Stockton in California, and then Monterrey and Nuevo Leon in Mexico. So going into the international markets already as part of their initial expansion from 8 teams to 11 teams now, would expect them to get a 12th team at some point over the next couple of weeks. And I wrote a blog diving into some of the history of each city and giving a glimpse of the sports ecosystem to see how good of a fit they would be in the AF1. And I think each one is a pretty good fit, but you can go make that determination for yourself. Go check out Off the Wall FB, F as in foot, B as in ball.com. Go check out that blog. Let me know what you think. Each city has its own characteristics, and oddly enough, or maybe not oddly enough, it's probably intentional. Each city has had an arena football team in some way, shape, or form in the past. Wilkes-Barre in the 2000s had the Wilkes-Barre Pioneers. Stockton had the Stockton Lightning in the late 2000s, and then Monterey had the Monterey Steel in the late 2010s in the NAL. So each city has had a team in the past. So will they be able to pick up where they left off? Will they be able to learn from some of the mistakes that happened in the past? Anything can happen, but I think each city is a pretty good fit for what they're trying to accomplish. It just comes down to the ownership and leadership of each group executing on the vision. Our guy, Matt Rowland, who we had on last week, he's getting things going in Wilkes-Barre. The leadership team in Stockton looks rock solid. They have a ton of indoor and arena football experience. We'll have to see if we can get one of them on the show. I know you're watching AF1. Come on, hook your boy up. And Monterey is an absolutely massive city. And we're doing some research on these cities. Monterey was the most surprising one. I'm like, okay, this is huge. There's over 1 million residents in Monterey alone. I think if I'm remembering correctly, Monterey in the U.S. would be the 10th largest city in the U.S. Like more people in it than Cincinnati, more people in it than Buffalo, more people in it than Pittsburgh. All those cities have NFL teams, and we're bringing an arena team to Monterey. So it has the potential to really be big if the leadership and ownership group does it the right way. And based on what they've been saying, it's looking optimistic, but time will tell, right? We've heard some of those stories before, but like I said, very optimistic about the potential, cautiously optimistic about the execution, just based on the past 12 months, how that has all been. But yeah, carving out for Monterey specifically, carving out a niche piece of the sports ecosystem pie that already exists there is going to be a bit of an uphill challenge. They've got multiple Mexican soccer league teams. I think their league is called the League MX. I could be way off on that, but they have an LFA team there. They've got a couple college football teams there. They've got women's soccer teams. They've got basketball teams. There's no shortage of sports there. So how do they find their lane, and how do they make it work for them so that they can be that great alternative to what's already there? You look at a market like Wilkes-Barre, they've got minor league hockey and some minor league baseball. That's it. That's all they got going on. So football will be brand new to Wilkes-Barre. Stockton, they have some minor league basketball and minor league baseball. they don't have football there. So football will be brand new. So Monterey has its own challenges that will be interesting to see how they approach, but only time will tell at this point. But like I said, not a ton to go over with the AF1. Hopefully they'll announce that 12th team. I would expect them to cap it at 12 teams. But who knows? They've said they've taken a lot of flyers on people that were interested in owning a team and bringing a team to their city. So we'll see. But I think they'll stop at 12, and once we get that 12th team over the next couple of weeks, we'll see how things start to shape up. Up next, we've got CJ Windham. CJ played for the Vegas Nighthawks in the IFL in the 2024 season. He had 18 touchdown catches and was averaging 15.5 yards per catch, which is just crazy numbers. He was a part of the Flight Club in Vegas, so we'll get into that in the interview. And then we'll also talk about his journey through football, how he got started in the IFL, how he found his way with Quad City, how he transitioned over to playing for Vegas, and how he made his way to the UFL. So he dives into all that and more. So let's get into it. Here's CJ. All right, joining us on the show today, we've got an electric wide receiver who spent a couple seasons in the IFL with the Quad City Steamwheelers, and then most recently with the Vegas Nighthawks. Right now, he's signed to the Houston Roughnecks of the UFL for the 2025 season. His name is CJ Windham. CJ, thank you so much for taking the time to join the show. How are things going in your world?
And I'm blessed and highly favored, man. I'm really thankful to be a part of the show, and thank you for having me on here today.
Yeah, absolutely. So something we always start our interviews off with is like, just tell us about your football journey and how you got involved with the IFL.
Okay, so definitely a unique journey. Kind of like I say, most people in the IFL definitely felt like I've had what it takes to be a pro athlete,
Mhm.
and kind of came up short in the process. So um, obviously went to high school here in Powder Springs, Georgia, middle McEachern, then went to Middle Tennessee State. Played 6 years in Middle Tennessee, bearing a red shirt year, and then a year of COVID. So from 2016 to 2022. I kind of spent a lot of my time up there. 2021, I spent a lot of my time up there. Um, Got done. Had some contact with a few teams. The Falcons, Dolphins. Let's see, there's Packers, the Seahawks, like
Wow.
a few
Okay.
kind of teams, but it's just one of those where like you can get there, you can get to the facility type, but the injuries kind of held me back.
Yeah.
So from there, I'm like, I feel like I can ball. I don't really feel like there's
Yeah.
a lot of people that should be able to tell me no. So it's like, I am healthy now. It's like, why not keep playing ball? I've got a
Yeah.
good support system who they've always been behind me and everything that I've done. So I'm like, why not just reach out, to try to be able to play ball still. So I saw the at the time the XFL. So I went to some of those workouts. That was in
Mhm.
the draft class that came out in 2022. Wasn't really successful there. Went to a couple showcases, got the draft invite. They didn't draft me there, and then I saw they partnered with the IFL. I'm like, what's this? Like,
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
keep trying whatever I got to do to get my foot in the door. I actually saw some IFL teams. I wasn't getting any contact from anybody, which is kind of crazy. At that point, I'm like, how do I get NFL, attention, but can't really get
Yeah.
IFL attention? So
Yeah. That's crazy.
I took to just Instagram DMing every single IFL team, believe it or not. Just Instagram
Wow.
DM'd them my name, my height, my weight, some of my college highlights, and like, hey, I'm ready to ball. Sure enough, Quad City was the first one to get back to me. So Quad City, Coach Ross, them, they got back to me. Hey, we're gonna go ahead, get you signed. We want you to come up here, see what you can do here at camp. Uh,
Okay.
I guess I could kind of say, the rest is history from there. So,
Yeah.
I went there, balled out, did what I was supposed to do. Had a great time there. Enjoyed the crowd, enjoyed the people, enjoyed, the atmosphere and, everything that came with the IFL and arena football. Learned
Yeah.
pretty well from, a few old heads. And then I must say like Jared Harrington,
Yeah.
Devon Rudd, Mike Kerrigan, EJ Hilliard, like those guys were, always there for me, always, made sure that, I did the things I was supposed to in and out
Right.
on a daily basis. Kind of taught me how to be a pro in the IFL and just be a professional athlete in itself. So from there, obviously tried my luck again. Was contacted by the San Antonio Brahmas. Hines Ward reached out to, Coach Ross at the end of the season, like what I put on film. They gave me an opportunity, but some of the stuff was a lot of stuff going on with the coaching staff, and
Right.
them transitioning from I think the XFL to the UFL at the time. Um, the whole staff that they had put together there in San Antonio had gotten released, and then fast forward to me playing again in the IFL. I'm like, okay, cool. That didn't work out. Went to Vegas, and obviously, had a great season there. I
Yeah,
could
of
go,
course, yeah.
on and on about those guys there, but when did that, now got this UFL opportunity with Houston. So it just means the world to me to to still be noticed for my talents and the things that I'm doing. Even
Yeah.
this journey that started back in, I mean, since I was like 7 years old, still being able to play the game that I love at a high level, being successful and, still getting opportunities. So just continue running the race, man.
Yeah, it's a great story of perseverance of how like it didn't like the ball didn't bounce your way the first time, but you kept at it, showed that you belonged,
Right.
had the opportunity, you were right there. So you're just like, all right, I'll just keep showing that I belong.
Exactly.
It's as simple as that. Keep proving it.
Exactly. Exactly, man.
So what was your first exposure to indoor or arena football? Did you know about it growing up?
It's crazy that you said that because I was actually cleaning out some stuff right before I left to go to Vegas this past season. I'm cleaning out stuff, packing stuff
Mhm.
to head out to Vegas, and I come across like the old school '06 arena football game. So I had the game when
Okay.
I was a kid, like the OG arena football.
All right.
And I always thought it was pretty cool, but it was never, anything that I just dove into. I'm like, that's cool. Like it's super entertaining and almost looks
Yeah.
a little bit more entertaining than like, NFL sometimes. So like I got the game, I played it as a kid. Um,
Uh-huh.
and then, didn't really think much more of it until like, okay, it's like, wow, I actually have an opportunity to play in this. And
Yeah, you're one of those guys now.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's like I kind of hope they re-release the game or something because one of the games, I want to be on a game. Skipped over it, and college because of NCAA, and then
Yeah.
get the Madden opportunity. So I'm like, man, like like give me some. But
Yeah, we
yeah,
gotta get you in there.
that was like my first time, like as a kid coming across it, and going back and then rewatching all the games and stuff. I was like, put myself in that atmosphere mentally, and then physically put myself there was just it's an amazing experience. I really feel like
Yeah.
I can say from the heart that it's a lot more entertaining than like being on I won't say NFL stage, I haven't been there yet, but like watching and being able to touch, feel the players, have a conversation with the players right
Yeah.
then and there, and then they go make a play. I just think it's the coolest thing in the world. So
Yeah. Yeah, I grew up in Orlando, Florida, so I went to Orlando Predators games back in the old AFL, and
okay.
me and my dad had season tickets a few rows back, and I remember like I was like 12 or 13, jawing with the players, like
Yeah,
going back and forth. And then one time, one of the opposing players caught the ball, returned it for a touchdown on a kickoff return, and I was like, dang.
yeah,
I was trying to get in his head, and he just absolutely dunked on me. So I'm like,
exactly.
man, that where else can you do that? You can't do that in an outdoor stadium. Like it's such a unique experience.
It is. It is. It is
Yeah.
definitely a unique experience, man.
So what were some of the biggest on the field challenges for you transitioning from that outdoor game to the indoor game?
So the biggest on-field challenges is, obviously, you have the wall and stuff. But being able to maneuver in a tight space, I feel like, in a sense, it opened up my game a little bit more to where like now I have to learn as a big man to play small. So it's
Right.
never a like huge adjustment because football is always going to be football. I just always feel like the spacing was different. Some of the crowds got a little louder than you'd expect.
Hmm.
Like a lot of outdoor games. The sound has some ways to travel, but like when you locked in that dome, it's like nowhere for that sound to go.
It's
So
just
like
bouncing off the walls. Yeah.
yeah, so like it actually got a little rocking sometimes. I'm like, okay, like this is real, like pro football, which is pretty cool to
Yeah.
experience. But yeah, I definitely say the field dimensions, just making sure that now I have to be a little smaller and nimble in a lot of different places to I guess open up my game and be successful here.
Yeah, because like on the outdoor game, you have a lot more space on the sides. Like if you're an outside receiver in the indoor game, you're on a 5 and out. You're hitting the wall
You're
like
hitting the
that.
wall. Yes, you are.
So
Yes, you are.
yeah.
Sure. And that wall does not move.
No, no, the wall is undefeated.
Yeah, I know it.
What would you tell the rookie version of you that was first stepping foot onto the IFL field? What would you tell that version of CJ that you know now?
I feel like the main thing I tell myself is to hmm, I like to be real particular with these kind of things. I'd say to make this game like like it was when you were a kid. I feel like
Hmm.
my first season out there in quad that I was a little tense sometimes. Like I said, it got a little rocking, new stage,
Right.
like new dimensions. Like I kind of got thrown in the fire immediately. Like, they saw what I could do, and it's like, hey, like you can help us. Like, let's go. Like
Hmm.
this is it.
Yeah.
And our first game was against Arizona, which they just got a championship this past season. They were good the season before, so
Yeah.
it's like, hey, this is like one of the best teams, most story teams. Like here you go, like straight to it. But I'd say to just relax and understand that ball is ball. This past season, I feel like I had the most fun I've had with football, and that's from the bottom of
Yeah.
my heart. Like the guys I was around and the ball and the level that I was able to play with, like it's been a while since I truly had fun with football like that. So, if I could get it in my mind early that yes, this is pro football, but at the same time, this is like something you've always dreamed of since you've been a kid. To just like
Yeah.
enjoy this experience, enjoy where you are now, because obviously what you're doing is going to be able to take you somewhere else. But just stay humble and make sure that you're having fun because all of this is at the end of the day football. So
Yeah. Yeah. The version of you 10 years ago would have been like, that's sick of
yeah,
where you are now. So it's
man.
taking the moment to appreciate those little things.
No doubt, no doubt. I'm a very thankful individual. So
Yeah. So free agency in the IFL just opened up. As someone that went through all that, going when you went from Quad City to Vegas, what does that look like from a player's perspective? And like, what were the types of things that you personally looked for when deciding where to go next?
okay, it's a really good question. So in the free agent process, I was already thinking that I was going to be UFL in the first
Uh
time.
huh.
Fell through a little later in the free agency process, so I kind of got to the point where I was scrambling. Things I was looking for was like one quality of like where I would be staying because one, like I knew that I'd be able to come and produce for whatever program that I was coming to, but it was just
Right.
more of like how can I get the best treatment like for my body for just the things I'm going to be doing in and out of the facility on a daily basis. Like how can I take care of myself like a pro athlete? Like how can I treat myself more than a pro? Like any I feel like anything I asked for and more, like at Vegas they had it. So,
Oh,
talking to
that's
Coach
great.
Mike and his philosophy and a lot of the different things that he had, and set in stone for the upcoming season, matched with a lot of the things that I was looking for. And, I definitely just wanted to be, a part of some guys that were like minded. Like I said, he did a really good job of that. He's, very well connected with other
Mhm.
leagues as well. So, alongside of being able to perform the way that I need to and have the resources to be able to perform the way that I need to. Coach Mike did a really good job of bringing in the guys that I would like to have around me, and ultimately making sure that I had the experience that I was looking for and being a real pro athlete and bring me here to have another opportunity
Yeah.
at UFL. So
Yeah, it seems like it's a lot more like recruitment in college than people would realize. Like
yeah,
you're not just thinking about, all right, I'm gonna go on the field, I'm gonna look cool in the black and red. It's like, no, there's
yeah.
so much more to that you gotta
Yeah,
consider.
it's a whole lot more behind it. Anything you get to talking about the coaching staff, he
Yeah,
ended up bringing in Coach Chan, which was coach of the year before. So it was a lot
right.
of like green flags for me. I'm like, hey man, like you want to be a part of something that's going to get you out of here. You want to be a part of something that's going to treat you like the pro athlete that you would like to be. I'm not saying that I couldn't get that in quad, but I look
Yeah.
at it like if you can have all these tangibles and then you put in the perspective that you'll get to be in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's like
Yeah, it's not too bad. Not too
I
bad.
mean, uh, I'm all in. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so I was reading an article from over the summer on the Vegas Nighthawks website, and I saw this mention. It says, "Beyond the numbers, Wyndham personifies the camaraderie and perseverance that has defined the receiving corps, known as the Flight Club."
yeah,
First off,
yeah.
Flight Club is an awesome name.
All
Did you guys have a brainstorming session before the season? We're like, all right, what do we call on this? Like, how did that name come about?
so that's I feel like the best part about our team and that flight club and all the different things that we were able to accomplish this season. It was like it was all genuine. It all came like
Yeah.
a fly. I mean, a lot of celebrations and stuff that we do on the field, a lot
Uh-huh.
of different the things that we did. Believe it or not, we come up with the day before, but it
Okay.
flowed so easily that it was all fun. So like Flight Club, I say, I mean, I could go on and on about them. I don't know the
Yeah.
question, but Flight Club is definitely, I feel like this past season has been beyond the best receiving corps and best running back crew that that the entire IFL had. I feel like
Yeah.
all of us healthy, numbers and film, like it doesn't lie. Like between me, Caleb, Q, Bobo, Rome, like that was insane. And I just wish that we
Yeah.
all were healthy for the whole season because I truly feel like people were afraid of us. So
Yeah. Yeah, by far the most talented wide receiver room. Like the first couple of weeks of the season, I'm like, dang, it's not just one guy that's killing. It's like
mm,
you got 3 or 4 guys any given day that can absolutely torch you.
right.
So you got by far one of the most exciting offenses in the entire IFL.
Yeah, no doubt. But yeah, that flight club, definitely a little bit more because of our abilities to go get those 50-50 balls. I think
Yeah,
it's crazy because me and the flight club, we were actually on FaceTime like a day or two ago, and we actually, just looking through some of the things that we did and some of our stats and stuff. And I believe, like, well, on our 50-50 balls, I want to say we were like 74% on them. So it's more like,
crazy.
yeah, so it's almost like, 75-25 ball with us. We're throwing it up. So
Take that every day.
that's a
Yeah.
testament to Flight Club right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So I actually have a question from a fan of yours. I let some people know that you were coming on, and one of them had a question they wanted me to ask you. So
Okay.
this one comes from at jrock7 underscore on Instagram. He says, what do you have to do to get like Carl?
Man, bro. Hey, man, bro. He's a character, man. I feel like we could go back and forth all day about that.
Yeah,
He's a guy that makes big time plays and big time moments. So I'm always like,
right.
make me like Rome. He's always
Uh-huh.
like Carl. I thought I make a play for him, man.
Yeah.
Uh, I say the best thing to do to be like Carl is go look in the mirror, J Rock 7.
There you go. There you go. You heard it here, J Rock.
Yeah.
You heard it. So for those that may not know, jrock7 underscore is Jerome Johnson, the quarterback for the Vegas Nighthawks this past season, who won the IFL MVP. So this season was a pretty fun one from a fan perspective, where every game you guys were in seemed like a shootout. And it was like, man, they could drop 60, 70 at any given time. Um, and oftentimes the difference between some of those games was Vegas had Jerome and the Flight Club, and
Mhm.
the other team didn't.
Yeah.
So it really came down to that. What was it like playing in such a dynamic offense all year?
Man, it's that's I mean, alongside of having like as much fun, it's very, very rewarding to know that like you get to a point where like boom, like I couldn't win on this route, but that ball's in the air. And you turn around, it's like, oh, he's
Yeah.
about to make a play. Oh, Caleb's about to make a play. Like this is about to be great. I don't know how he's gonna do it, but he's about to do it. But, like worst case, like you run a deep route, you're like where's the ball? Where's the ball? And then you see Rome like dang, they're like a Lamar, the IFL, just like doing
Yeah.
crazy stuff. It's like it's such a relief to know that you don't have to go and run up and down the whole field by yourself like every single drive. Like
Yeah.
you can make 1 or 2 catches and rely on everybody else for the rest of the drive. I mean, it's
Hmm.
truly team knit. You know what I'm saying? So like,
Yeah.
having an MVP quarterback, having high caliber receivers around you, it just takes the load off of you and almost makes you elevate your game. You're not going to get as much love sometimes, but at the same time, that this is probably just somebody else's game. This game, but
Right.
the ball's going to fall your way at some point. You're definitely going to get your love, your attention, whatever it is.
Hmm.
But you got guys that are making plays on a day.
Yeah.
So I mean, how can you be mad at it?
Right.
Let's turn up in the end zone. Like I was open too, but hey, you just
Yeah,
went up
exactly.
one-handed. Like let's celebrate.
You can have this one. I'll get the
Yeah,
next one. Yeah.
exactly. To the point to where like at times we're playing rock paper scissors to like who gets that route because like whoever gets it is gonna score. So,
Yeah.
like it is a very fun time and being a part of that. It's a luxury for sure. Not
That's
everybody.
great. That's great. Well, you mentioned Coach Davis, you mentioned Coach Chin earlier. Um, you mentioned Coach Chin winning Coach of the Year in 2023. He kind of got a raw deal in Tucson, but it kind of worked out for Vegas that you got to bring him in, and you had 2 high quality head coaches on the staff.
Right.
What was it like playing for both of them this year?
I enjoyed it, man. I actually did. At times, I feel like we may not have appreciated as much as we should have.
Right.
But I definitely you know, took to it throughout the season to make sure that, we're in there just thanking them and being appreciative for all that they do because, having Chin as an offensive mindset, it's definitely unique. I really haven't had offensive coordinators like that. He sat and truly taught us offense and defense from the quarterback's perspective. A
Hmm.
lot of times learning offenses and a lot of different systems, it was more of like you learn your routes, you learn your stuff from, the receiver position. You're kind of looking from the receiver's aspect of things like, okay, I got this corner here, this backer here. But instead, we're looking at it now. Okay, we got two high, three high here. They roll to this coverage, they roll to this coverage. What route will work best here? Which reads you're going through, your 1, 2, 3, 4. So now you know how much time you have en route to run routes because oh boom, I know I'm the fourth read, boom, I see cover three. I had to sit here in this space. Like it all just started flowing a whole lot easier and it makes the game easier.
Yeah.
So having him and then, obviously Coach Mike, he did a little bit more with the defense for sure, but definitely,
Hmm.
having him, I feel like he's a player's coach. He's definitely one
Yeah.
that he likes to, come and talk to you on a personable level, making sure, everything's okay, especially like off the field and stuff too. So like, having both of those mindsets to kind of help you elevate your game mentally was like, a big blessing for all of us in there. And we
Yeah.
thought to, the best of our advantage. So
Yeah, I remember the camera on some of the home broadcasts would go over to the home bench, and like you guys would be getting turned up on the bench, but then Coach Davis would be in the mix with it. So I'm like, look at him go, he's getting in there.
exactly. Exactly. We try to get him in there a little bit more,
Yeah,
man. And like, come on, Coach Mike, turn up, get a little loose, man.
yeah,
I don't know
right.
if you've seen a few clips of Coach Chin. Coach Chin got loose a couple of times with us, man. We
Okay,
always appreciate when they have a good time with us because of how much work they put in, how much work
of course.
behind the scenes. So like, it's always
Yeah,
good to let your head loose on game day and celebrate that.
yeah, yeah, 100%. But as I mentioned at the top of the interview here, you are signed on with the Houston Roughnecks of the UFL. Getting back into the outdoor game. How did that opportunity come about?
It came about, I'd say mainly because of Will Lewis. He's now the GM there. At the time, he
Okay.
was in San Antonio as the director of player personnel. I had, tons of contact with him, and Coach Ward in my process, signing to San Antonio. And, once it fell through, he was just like, just make sure that we stay in contact and make sure that, we're kind of updated on things going on. And it's a true testament to kind of who he is as an individual. I really feel like he did a really good job of building a relationship with me, not
Mhm.
only with ball. He checked in quite a few times throughout the season to make sure that everything was okay. Like, just to make sure like I'm still working, I'm getting money
Yeah,
as a man, like real deal, making sure like I'm okay as CJ, not just like CJ Wyndham, the football player.
that's great.
So as soon as he picked up the position, he's like got on the phone like, "Hey man, like, what you doing?" Like you still playing? I'm like, yeah, we still got a couple more games left. And he was like, hey man, like getting this GM position here in Houston, man, I want to give you an opportunity, man. So, staying in contact with him and making sure that as long as I was supposed to on my end,
Yeah.
made that happen for me here in Houston. So now I'm just excited to kind of get rolling with that, meet some more of the coaching staff and some of the players, and man, get back outdoors. Like that's the whole goal. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the IFL has positioned itself as a league of development, and I think you are the blueprint for that. Where you got in there, you proved your worth, you were able to show what you can do, and you got that opportunity to get back into the outdoor game. So I think it's a great story that the IFL needs to be pushing a little bit more, and we'll see if they do that. But from your experience, like I know you mentioned something that you would tell younger version of CJ. What would be something you share with some players that are graduating college now and looking to get into any like in the position you were, get their foot in the door anywhere? Like what would you tell them, whether it be off the field, on the field stuff?
I definitely say starting with off the field to understand that just because you didn't get the immediate opportunity that you're looking for doesn't mean that you're lesser than or that you
Right.
can't do the same things that they do. But to also understand that in college, like if you are to look at my story, that you're taking things serious. Not that I didn't take things serious, but at the same time to be able to walk into jobs or things that you could have as secondaries immediately
Yeah.
versus kind of like scrambling trying to figure out, hey, will I be able to fit this in? Hey, will I be able to fit this in? It's more like, hey, I got me a good job, but this team wants me, I can go to that. Almost make ball. I wouldn't say make ball a secondary, but kind of have a little bit more in store than you probably imagine in case of
Right.
that. But I say on the field, I say to just to make sure that you understand that this is not, I feel like, any less than the next. I feel like out here I've ran into competition and people that have been, I mean, like guys, before either in
Yeah.
college and the NFL, like, and have understood what that talent looks like on, a firsthand level. And, it's incredible. So I say looking at the IFL to look at it as something that can truly help you in life. I wouldn't look at it as something like, like it's not the NFL, like that's not where I want to be, like
Right.
selling myself short, or like, people might look down on me, people might look an opposite way at me because it's not the NFL, man.
Right.
You can ball. And if it looks good, you feel like it can look good on the NFL stage, it can look good on the IFL stage, man. Like the league is growing. I feel
Yeah.
like the sponsors and stuff that they're gonna have next year, like you can see year to year, like how many more eyes are being open to the IFL, and
Right.
how many athletes can come from this, and how many athletes can be successful in and outside of this league. And I'm a living testament. Like, and I always feel like I'm an open book. I never the type to shy away from anybody. And, anybody that, hits my line, I make sure that I answer, that I make sure that, you can understand that this story is, just as unique or just as, driven to you as it is to me. Like
Right.
anything that I can do to help on my end and my corner, is just understand that, I'm human too. I feel
Yeah.
short. I kept pushing. I've been resilient, and if I can make it happen, like why can't you make it happen? You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. That's great. You're kind of paying it forward
yeah,
to the next group going through the same things you will.
exactly, exactly.
That's awesome. Well, last thing I got for you before we get out of here, I was reading on your Middle Tennessee State player profile. You were on You Got Mossed.
Yeah, man.
Tell me about this. Break it down for me.
Man, so that was an experience and a half, man. We went up to Marshall back in 2020, and on the scouting report all week we've had, Stephon Gilmore this, Stephon Gilmore that. We'll see his little brother out there. So, like who's gonna make a play? You know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna have guys from the Patriots, or guys from whatever team he's with at the time to
Right.
be watching. And I want to say this the year that Stephon Gilmore got the 99 overall in Madden too. So it was
Uh huh.
like so much
He
hype.
was the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like who's gonna make a play? And it got to the point where we had been struggling for a minute. We're getting some plays downfield, and Coach Franklin was telling me, I think at halftime, that we're gonna come out and we're gonna take a shot with you. Saying like, can you make a play for us? I'm like, come on, man, now let's go. Come
Yeah.
on.
Come on.
So, ended up, making that play, going up top. That was pretty cool. We ended up losing, it sucks, but you're sleeping on the L. It's like, like that sucks. Wake up in the morning, like, okay, we got to get back to it. We got to go work out. But I'm like, something a little
Yeah.
different this time. Like, wake up, like I got like 500, 600 notifications on my phone. I'm like, what is happening? Like, I'm like, what's like the worst is happening? I'm like, what is happening? And my dad's like spamming my phone. Like, he's like, dude, Randy Moss is talking about you right now. You on ESPN? I said, like, like what is this, man? Sure enough, he's on there. Shout out to all my viewers down in Marshall. Like, like even though this is alma mater, like we got to do better. Like, I'm like, oh
Uh
my god, like
huh.
Astro Hair to CJ Windham is right down on my screen right there, man. It's like number 3 on Sports Center too. So that was pretty cool.
That's nuts.
As a kid, like you always used to be in the backyard, like throwing it up, like, hey,
Uh
you
huh.
gonna get Moss, and then actually getting to do that on a big stage, and then being recognized by the man himself is like elite.
Right.
Like that's kind of what you live for when you playing ball, man. So that was
Yeah.
an
What a feeling.
experience. I loved it, man. That was cool.
That's amazing. Well, CJ, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. I know you're just getting started with the football journey. We're super excited to see where you go from here. Where can people follow along with your football journey on social?
They can follow me on Instagram. It's CJ Wyndham is my ad,
Okay,
and that's on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook, CJ Wyndham. And like I said,
cool.
I'm an open book, man. So never hesitate to hit me up, or ask me any questions, man. I'm a guy that is just like you. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
wherever I can help, let me do so.
All right, sounds good. Take care, CJ. We'll see you in the UFL soon, and we'll hope to have you back on the show at some point.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you having me on here, man.
All right, take care.
All right, no doubt.
And that's the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for joining, whether it's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, any of that stuff. Wherever you're listening, give us a thumbs up, like, subscribe, all that stuff. It helps the show out, it helps it grow. If you're not already, please follow us on all the socials, Instagram, X/Twitter, and TikTok at Off the Wall FB, and give CJ a follow as well. I'm very excited to see the journey that CJ continues. I know he's just getting started, and I'm excited to see him light it up in the UFL. So the links to give him a follow as well will be in the description on YouTube and on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. So go follow CJ and tell him you heard him on Off the Wall. I would expect a lot of announcements in both the IFL and the AF1 over the next couple of weeks. So we'll see if that 12th team in the AF1 gets announced. We'll see if a potential 18th team gets announced for the IFL. I'm sure we'll see lots of player signing announcements, lots of coach signing announcements, lots of coaching changes, all sorts of stuff. And appreciate you joining me along this journey. And whether you're watching, listening, no matter what it may be, you're appreciated. And there's only 24 hours in a day. And the fact that you're willing to spend 30, 40, 50 minutes of that with me, listening to me ramble about arena football and talk to CJ, it means a lot. So take care. We'll see you next time. Bye.